Have you ever wondered just how powerful God's hand could be in your life? Sometimes we settle for less, doubting the depth of His power. But Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 reminds us that God can do far more than we ask or imagine. Are we underestimating what God can do in our lives? This verse calls us to see God as unlimited and challenges us to widen our vision. In this video, we'll dive deep into what this abundant power truly means, exploring how to unlock and embrace it in our everyday lives. Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 talks about a power beyond our imagination. But what does that actually mean? Imagine a life where answers exceed expectations, where prayers yield results you never thought possible. This is the kind of power God offers. Think of biblical stories where the unexpected happened. David defeated Goliath, the Red Sea parted, miracles rooted in the belief that God's power knows no limits. This verse challenges us to break free from restrictive thoughts, to trust that God's ability goes far beyond what we envision. God's power isn't about giving us what we think we need. It's about showing us that He's able to fulfill more than our wildest dreams. Why is it that some people experience God's power more vividly than others? The answer lies in faith. Faith is the bridge that brings us into God's powerful presence, transforming lives. Remember the woman who touched Jesus' robe and was healed? Her faith led to healing. Faith brought her to that moment, and God's power met her there. Our openness to believe, even in the unseen, creates a path for God to work in our lives. If we hold back in faith, we may be limiting what God wants to do for us. Believe boldly, for our faith can shape how we experience God's hand in our lives. What if experiencing God's power isn't complicated? What if it's rooted in simple daily steps? Start by praying more intentionally, inviting God into your decisions, actions, and thoughts. Regular reflection on His promises and His word reinforces your faith, making His power more tangible in your life. Even small acts of obedience, like helping someone in need or choosing honesty, open doors to God's abundant grace. Take one step today. Sometimes it's the small, consistent actions that prepare us to experience His great works. Many of us hold back, boxed in by our perceived limitations. But what if these limitations aren't real in God's eyes? Look at Moses. He felt unqualified to lead, but God saw his potential. With God, weaknesses become strengths. We often think, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough, forgetting that God's power fills our gaps. Imagine what could happen if we surrendered our fears and limitations, trusting that God will equip us. Our limits are not His limits. With God, there's potential for growth, healing, and accomplishment beyond our own abilities. Could we be missing out on God's power by going solo? Community can amplify faith, providing support and shared experiences. Think of the early church. Together they prayed, shared, and God's power was evident in their unity. A faith community helps us see God's work through different lives, making His power feel real and close. If you feel alone, consider joining a group that prays, studies, and uplifts each other. Together, our experiences become more profound. God's power multiplies when believers unite, pray together, and lean on each other. Is God's power reserved for miraculous moments, or does it permeate our daily lives? God's power is in our ordinary moments, the ability to forgive, to love when it's hard, and to find peace amidst chaos. Whether we're at work, school, or home, seeing God's hand in our actions brings our faith to life. It's not just about big changes. God's power is present in small, everyday victories that help us reflect His love. Every choice, every act of kindness can be infused with His power, showing the world that God's presence is here and now. Imagine a world where everyone lives with full faith in God's abundant power. What would that world look like? There would be more compassion, less fear, and more courage to face challenges, knowing that God's got us covered. Think of a world where people acted in love and believed in miracles. That's a powerful vision, one that aligns with God's desire for us. By tapping into Ephesians 3:20, we can be part of this change, bringing hope and faith wherever we go. With each believer stepping out in faith, we create a world transformed by the boundless love and power of God. In Ephesians 3:20, we're reminded that God's power is more than we can ask or imagine. But it's up to us to embrace that truth. Faith can unlock this abundant power, whether in small daily actions or life's defining moments. Are you ready to see God's hand in your life? Open your heart and trust. God's promises are waiting for those who dare to believe. Let today be the beginning of a new chapter. Invite God into your life fully, and let Him show you what He can do. Reflect on this verse. Take a step today. Trust that God has a purpose and plan that surpasses what you can see.